All right, tricksters, welcome back. And today we're going to be talking about another important topic, which everyone's trying to figure out. You're all trying to figure this out. You're getting questions about this all the time. I see other content creators talking about this thing, and everyone's trying to figure out the magic sauce. What's that sauce they're trying to figure out is how to not be anxious. I'm going to give you a little quick disclaimer and forewarning. The answer is not what you think it is. Let's get into it. All right, let's bring our chat back up. Hi, chat, you're back. So, ranked anxiety, or just anxiety generally, okay? It comes out a lot in tournaments, and it's not often talked about in a way that I think is super helpful. So, clearly I've seen VDX's video about anxiety. In his video, he's talking about how he deals with nerves, how he chokes, how he's working on that, and that's totally valid, and I love it. I'm so happy for him. Hope he conquers those demons. But I also noticed that there are not a lot of veterans talking about this. So I know to many of you in the Tekken world, I'm a new person to you. I am not new to competing at a high level in Virtual Fighter. In fighting games as a more broad, I've been playing the skis games at a pretty high level for like 10 years, last decade. Let's just say decade. Longer than that, but we're going to say decade for the purposes of this video. And that's all you need to know. 10 years is long enough. All right. A lot of other folks who are quite strong and competent, playing for 2, 3, 5 years sometimes, but you learn a lot over a decade of competing in tournaments about how to manage your nerves, anxiety, and I've also seen a lot of other players never get this right. So I'm not just telling you this is how you manage your anxiety. No, I'm also telling you, like, you're not just going to figure it out on your own necessarily. If you're struggling with this, it's not just going to go away. And actually, the first tip here I'm going to have for you is stop trying to get rid of your anxiety. That's the big myth. Remember, I'm a psychologist. I'm a mental health professional. This is my job. So I do counseling. I'm a therapist. I'm a researcher. All kinds of things. And anxiety is a thing people try to eliminate from their lives. And it doesn't work. You know why it doesn't work? Because you can't get rid of your emotions. It's one of your emotions. It's like all the other ones. It's like your anger. It's like your fear. Just like happiness. It's part of the collective. You don't get to selectively cut out certain emotional experiences in your life. So you have to accept that. And the more you try to control and eliminate certain emotions from your lived experience, the stronger they will become. Like if I tell you, don't look at that little shark behind me there, ignore it, don't look at the shark, you're gonna look at the shark, okay? You can't avoid it because I've told you to look at the shark. I told you to stop looking at the shark, but now all you can do is look at the shark, right? Or look at this, right? All those things. That's the first tip. Stop trying to stop feeling it. That's number one. Number two, all right, so now you've accepted that you're gonna feel anxious. Okay, how's that going to help you? Well, here's another big secret. And this is where our brains play really nasty tricks on us. Where, what are you anxious about? Sometimes what ends up happening is you become anxious about becoming anxious. And then you become anxious about that, and it becomes a vicious cycle, where anxiety begets more anxiety, begets more anxiety, begets more anxiety. And the reason why you keep getting more anxious is because you're afraid of the anxiety. So you're trying to say to yourself, I don't want to feel this anxiety feeling. And then you do feel the feeling. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm feeling this anxiety feeling. This must be bad. And you get more and more anxious. Which is why goal number one is accept that you're going to feel anxious. Because that will stop you from saying to yourself when you start to feel anxiety, oh my God, I'm feeling anxiety. Oh my God, I'm dying. You're like, no, relax. It's just an emotion. It's cool. Chill. You're not failing life. You're not failing at the game because you're getting anxious. All right? That's just your brain speaking. And then the third part of this is, all right, so now you're accepting the anxiety. You're no longer trying to fight it so much. Now what do you do with it? Coincidentally, it's kind of like a keto, where you just kind of go with the flow, you go with the emotional energy, you go with the physical force so that you can redirect it into a direction that you want it to go. That's what you're going to do with your anxiety. So you're going to take the anxiety you feel and you're going to redirect it in a way that's helpful for you. Because again, think back. Why do we have emotions? We're humans. We evolved from primates or whatever. We're part of that primate crew, right? And when we became human, just like every other evolutionary characteristic that we have, most of them, ones that make us useful, we have emotions for a very good reason, because they're adaptive. Now, in modern society, our emotions sometimes get, bent out of whack because they're not really well adapted to the current environment that we're in. So what happens when you're playing a game, you're playing on stage, and you got all this pressure on you, you got sponsors, you got people in chat saying nasty things about you or saying good things about you. Who knows what's happening, what your context is. But I know my context is that. So what do you do about it? Acknowledge the anxiety. You can breathe. That's not really going to make the anxiety go away on its own. What makes the anxiety go away is continually, repeatedly putting yourself in the situation that makes you anxious. Basically, granted, as long as you're not this isn't professional advice, not telling you to do this, right? This is more like my technique for managing this. If you really have a problem with anxiety, please go see a proper mental health professional like myself. Okay, this is a serious condition that one needs to seek help for. You don't have to white knuckle it. Now that I've given you that disclaimer, because I have a license to protect and due diligence to let you know that this is just psychoeducation, not treatment. All right, gotten that out of the way. One of the best ways to deal with anxiety is to put yourself into the situation over and over and over again. And what ends up happening is the intensity of the emotional experience of anxiety lowers. You become acclimated to the situation. And that situation might be the anxiety. Remember, I'm not telling you when you do what I'm telling you to do, that anxiety is going to go away. I'm telling you, become friends with your anxiety. Become homies with your anxiety and let it work for you and with you. And the best way to do that is to just be in the position that makes you anxious. So if you're anxious when you play on stream, get on stream and play. If you're anxious when you're playing in front of people on the big stage, well, first you got to make it to the big stage and then play on the big stage when you're anxious. And you might say, Tricky, I don't want to have to keep going to these negative situations because it sucks for me to keep losing because I'm anxious and it's hard for me to think and all that stuff. I say, well, you just got to keep putting your reps in. And what you might also find is, well, this is where a mental health professional is very helpful, is what are you anxious about? Why are you so anxious? What is making you feel so anxious? This is where the deeper work comes in. So the part of the reason why a lot of the advice a lot of us are giving to players or the people about how do you manage anxiety is generic, is because it is generic. The way you, viewer, person watching this video right now, deal with your specific anxiety depends on why are you specifically anxious. And I don't know you, so I can't tell you why. If I worked with you, I might be able to tell you why and unpack that and work with it and help you not feel that way anymore, which is why I encourage you to see a mental health professional, okay? It's what we're good at. It's our jobs. We help you with these things. But outside of that, if you're just trying to, you're generally healthy mentally and you're not having any really disordered related level of problems. If you're just like a regular, healthy, normally functioning individual who's dealing with anxiety and you're trying to figure out how do I stop making this be such a problem for me, then just do it a lot. Play on rank a lot. Lose your rank a lot. Regain your rank a lot. Get in ranked, you're about to rank up, promo battles. Get in those situations a lot. Get in rank down situations a lot. And so a couple of other things are going to happen here. Not only is your anxiety going to go down because you're being acclimated to the position, which is feeling anxious, so your experience of anxiety will go down. Your subjective experience is negative of the emotional process of being anxious will start to reduce. Therefore, your anxiety will actually start to reduce. But the goal isn't to reduce your anxiety. The goal is to acclimate to the anxiety that you're currently experiencing. so that you have a higher level of tolerance to more and more and higher degrees of anxiety. So that you don't become dysregulated and unable to function. Because what you'll learn when you put yourself in places and situations that make you feel uncomfortable, that make you feel anxious, is that nothing bad happens. Like, all of your fears that you're telling yourself that are making you anxious, because anxiety is fear. Anxiety is a kind of fear. It's not just fear, but it's in that realm of like, what are you anxious about? Are you fearful of a bad thing happening? Are you hopeful a good thing's gonna happen? What are you worried about? Like, literally, what are you feeling worried about? And it might be fear, it might be anxiety, it might be sadness, it might be a lot of other things that are underlying this emotion. It might be a secondary emotion, it might be a primary emotion. I don't know. Again, this is why the advice is so generic, because no one knows what your problems are. You have to dig deep and look inside yourself and find out what those are, or go see someone like me who can help you find those. But everyone is going to have their own unique experience. The only general thing I can say is just get in the situation a lot. Learn that you're not going to die. You might die in the game, but you're not going to die as a person. Learn that over time, you become used to it. You become used to the anxiety. You become friends with the anxiety. You learn how to utilize it in a way that's helpful for you, that helps direct and focus your mind as opposed to just regulating it and making you just go all over the place. And ultimately, you end up lowering your anxiety level. It ends up going down. And not only that, your ability to tolerate heightened levels of anxiety becomes better. So check it. You do what I'm telling you. You do the work. Your anxiety levels go down for what you're currently dealing with. Your anxiety tolerance to future events that are even more anxiety producing for you becomes greater. So you just get better overall as a whole. What you have now becomes like no big deal, and what you are unable to even fathom being able to handle in the future becomes no big deal for you, right? Is in order to feel pain when you're anxious? Depends where it is. Everyone experiences emotions differently in their body. Part of what becoming an emotionally aware person is learning, where do you hold anxiety? Sometimes people hold emotions in certain parts of their body. And when I say hold, I mean like sometimes your tension, like you get tense. Your muscles physically tense up in certain parts of your body. That's what I mean by holding your emotion in certain parts of your body. I don't mean the emotion lives in that area. That's not real. From what we know right now, scientifically. If OCD, I love these kinds of talks. Yes. Well, if you have OCD and you're diagnosed with it, I hope you have someone who's helping you with that. Because, this is not to substitute that at all. But I'm glad I can give you all some general advice on how to, mine's in your chest and stomach. Yeah, that's why I get mine too. I feel it here and here. Like in the solar plex, like right in the middle, boom. Well, OCD is an anxiety disorder. Obsessive compulsive disorder is a disorder of anxiety. You do certain things. Actually, it's like in the name OCD. Obsessive compulsive disorder. Obsessive, you're obsessing about a thing which makes you feel anxious. And you're compulsive because you're compelled to do certain things to manage the things you're obsessed about because you think that's going to help you not feel anxious. And it's disordered because it's so high that it gets in the way of you being able to function either socially, occupationally, or educationally. That's kind of how we diagnose. And so that's what makes something a disorder. It has to interfere in those three areas of your life to a degree that makes it difficult to function. And the more difficult it is to function, the more disordered we say it is, the more of a problem it is for you. So, yes, dear viewer, trickster out there, I hope this helps you. I hope you go out and put yourself in situations that make you feel anxious in a safe way. And, this is basically called exposure. You're exposing yourself to the situation that makes you feel the uncomfortable emotion. Anxiety is one emotion it could be. There are a lot of other emotions that could come up as well. But generally, anxiety is one, especially when you objectively know there's nothing bad that's going to happen to you. Your life's not at risk. Maybe it's very important to your livelihood, right? That might be true. However, you still have to get used to that experience of emotion. And the best way to do that is just go and do it. Go and do it. Experience it. It's called exposure. It's a very difficult treatment, like being exposed to an emotion, being exposed to a situation, but we know it works. So, try to figure out what would be most comfortable for you. What's your growth edge? So for me, when I first started dealing with this 10 years ago, I found that I got nervous when I played on stream. So what I would do is I'd play on streams. That's why I started streaming. I started streaming because I wanted to stop feeling so anxious when I was playing in a tournament set that was being streamed, because it was really anxiety provoking to have people watch me do what I'm doing and like thinking whatever they're thinking or saying whatever they're saying in the chat. Like that was really, really anxiety provoking for me, and it was really uncomfortable. So I, Nerd Himbo, thank you for the 2 primes. I saw that. For the gifties. Exposure therapy was life-changing for you? Yeah, it's a very effective way of dealing with a lot of anxiety-related disorders. Maya, let's see what you said. For me, I stopped getting anxious in FGC moments or stream matches. Exposure and embracing were big factors, like you said. I remember saying to myself as a mantra, I deserve to be here, and I only get excited in the moment from then on. Yeah. Well, that's because your mantra helped you because you understood why you were feeling anxious, right? So that mantra may work for you, may not work for somebody else, because their reason for feeling anxious might be very different than yours, right? That's why the advice tends to be generic, because everyone's thing is different. Until someone knows you or you have a professional working with you, we can only really give you broad, general strokes and nothing super specific for you. The other thing I was saying, thanks for following Big Brown Boy. Interesting name you have there. The other thing I wanted to say was, so I started playing on stream, and I found that my anxiety in tournaments became much more manageable. And I saw how some of my opponents who don't play on stream, who do struggle with anxiety from playing much longer than I have, I was beating them more consistently because they weren't able to handle the anxiety like I was. Because I'd become acclimated to it. I didn't care about playing online. I didn't care about playing in ranked. I didn't care about playing on stream. But the next thing was talking on stream. And now I'm doing what I'm doing with this with you all, like I am, because I started dealing with my anxiety by just doing the thing that made me feel anxious and nervous. Phantom Snakes? Yes, she is. From YouTube. Just Google her. One of the best Xiaoyus in the country. There are many that are very good. I don't know who actually is the best, but she's one of them. Talking in voice chat helped me get over your anxiety of talking to people. There you go. Especially over the phone. Yeah, I still hate talking on the phone. Talking to strangers, whether they were nice or mean. We get over that fear. Yeah, exactly. It does. It really does. So, yeah. That's the really big one. Thanks for following Pretty Poison. Can I get a coaching session with Daystri? You gotta ask Daystri. I'm not her keeper. We're just homies. Well, we'll end this anxiety talk today here. I hope this is helpful for some of you who are struggling with anxiety. I have another video over here, actually, you can watch. No, I'll say over here. That over there. You can watch that if you want to see more about how to handle anxiety. I have a lot of videos on this. That one is specific about tournament playing anxiety. But what makes tournament playing anxiety difficult is that you might find you only get anxious at certain points in the tournament, like grand finals. And the only way to deal with that is to get in grand finals a lot. And that means you got to get there a lot, which is okay. This means it takes longer to get that exposure. Moral of the story is, do things that are uncomfortable over and over again, and you'll get better at it over time. So long as you do the things I told you earlier, which is stop trying to make the emotion disappear. Become friends with it, accept it, embrace it, and become acclimated to the experience. When do I feel the most nerves and torment? Grand finals. But it depends on who my opponent is. For me, it's very specific to the opponent. But broadly speaking, I get situationally nervous. So, like, if I start flubbing things in a tournament, if I start making mistakes, errors, if I'm going for something and I don't get it because I did it too early or too late, that can make me feel anxious. And if it happens too much, then I crumble. So I handle that by just not letting that happen. I stay practice. Make sure I don't mess those things up. But that's a conversation for another video.